Here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Senior here with you. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the show. There are so many great content options out there and talented content creators. So anytime you decide to watch our coverage, I really appreciate that. It's been a lifelong dream to talk about the Eagles professionally. I knew I wanted to do this at 5 years old. So to be able to do it on this platform where we're reaching millions and millions of people every single month, I wake up every single day feeling blessed. I do want to begin here. Let's grow the empire. It is so incredible to me that we have people who watch this show from every pocket of America and worldwide, and that we've reached 3 to 4 million people over the last month. And I want to continue to build this show so that it remains a powerhouse, because Eagles fans love their football team. Eagles fans love being informed and entertained, and I think we do that at a very high level. So we're 694 people away from 134,000 subscribers. Like I said, hit that sub button, and what you get is daily free Eagles shows. Could we see a lot of trade movement across the NFL going into the NFL trade deadline? And for Howie, you can never sleep on him because he's always trying to make moves to improve his ball club. The NFL trade deadline is after Week 9 going into Week 10. That sets up perfectly for Philadelphia because they have that Week 9 bye, then they play the Packers in Week 10, and that's going to be a huge NFC matchup. The last 6 years, in October alone, going into the deadline, we have seen 88 trades across the NFL. That comes out to an average of 15 per season. And so the data and the trends show us that not only a move is going to be made, moves are going to be made. And why has there been an uptick in trades over the last few years? Because when I was growing up as a diehard Eagles fan and a fan of the entire NFL, because I love this game, it was very rare for teams to make trades going into the NFL trade deadline or just during the season. And over the last couple of years, the deadline has been moved back. And I think that's been beneficial for teams looking to improve their rosters because they can better gauge where they are at as a football team and the players who they want to identify as trade targets. But another reason is that across the NFL, you've seen a rise in these young, creative, aggressive general managers who operate their businesses in a way where to win, you need to be aggressive. And so with more aggressive general managers, they're making more aggressive in-season moves, and they have more confidence in their coaching staffs to get these players acclimated to learn their respective schemes. And as we know, Howie Roseman has been active already just in the last couple of months by making trades, not just in free agency and signing players to the roster and on the practice squad. Look at what Howie's already done. He traded for John Mechie. He traded for Jacorian Bennett. He traded for Fred Johnson. He traded for Tank Bigsby. Now, you're not going to have a 100% hit rate as a GM. Howie nearly had that in 2024 during the offseason when the only bad move he really made was signing Bryce Huff and then traded him away to the 49ers, and Huff is having a good year. He's a better scheme fit there. What's unfortunate, though, about those aforementioned moves that we just showed you, the only move that's worked out for the Eagles has been the Fred Johnson trade. He's filled in nicely for Lane Johnson when he's been in and out of the lineup. But other than that, Tank Bigsby has given you less than zero. John Mechie hasn't done anything. And Jacorian Bennett is on injured reserve. And so you're looking at a team right now that is 4-2. They have a lot of talent. I believe in the talent. I believe in the coaching staff. I believe in Howie Roseman. He's the best GM in football. But they're not without weaknesses or flaws. And they have a few deadline needs. Pass rusher, this could be edge or defensive tackle. They just need to do a better job of getting after the quarterback. Cornerback is a big one as well. These are the two biggest needs by far. I'm going to put safety there. This is why I'd bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's a player who knows the scheme, will bring this defense some spirit, fire, physicality, ball production, and he can play both these positions, corner and safety. And then guard. Landon Dickerson hasn't been good. Cam Jurgens at center has struggled. Tyler Steen's been up and down. So the interior of this Eagles offensive line has not been great. I will say it's really hard, though, to trade for offensive linemen during a season because even bad teams don't want to part ways with offensive linemen because they either have a young quarterback who they're trying to protect or they're going to draft a young quarterback in the 2026 draft. And you look at how the Eagles stack up. They need to play better, but I also think they can stand to make some moves to be a better football team. They're 15th in points per game offensively, 30th in yards per game, 28th in yards per play, 27th on third downs, best red zone offense in the NFL. On defense, they have a lot of pressures and quarterback hits. They don't have a lot of sacks. They're 25th in the NFL there. They need to do a better job of getting to the quarterback. They're 19th in points per game, 21st in yards per game, 17th in yards per play, 26th on third downs, 8th in the red zone. And so I think that Howie Roseman needs to make a move or moves. And the two positions that I would really hone in on, edge rusher, pass rush in general, so that can be a combo and a hybrid, and cornerback. And here's what Jeremy Fowler, ESPN NFL insider, had to say about Philadelphia making a trade. The Eagles are lurking in the trade market as always. People I've talked to around the league believe cornerback or edge rusher or both could be a focus at the deadline. Keep in mind that Philly has already made several trades, acquiring Jacorian Bennett, John Mechie, Tank Bigsby, and those moves haven't paid off yet. Now, coming up next here on the show, just around the corner, there's a player here to my right who the Eagles have been linked to a lot. I'm also going to go through other players who make sense for the Birds, so you don't want to miss that insight and that intel. You also don't want to miss this deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This Fly Eagles Fly hoodie with fall and the cold temperatures here / quickly approaching was $75. It is now on sale for just $40. Yes, that's right. $35 off this hoodie right now, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. But you have to use our link down below in order for that discount to apply. Was $75, now $40. Head to chatsports.com/PHI hoodie. Chatsports.com/PHI hoodie. Get on that deal. Limited time only while supplies last. All right. As far as that trade target who has been garnering a lot of attention and buzz for the Birds, Bradley Chubb. And he could be a prime trade target for Philadelphia here. And why I think a Bradley Chubb trade makes sense. Za'Darius Smith just retired. He was your most productive edge rusher. Now you're without him. Nolan Smith is on injured reserve. The Dolphins are in sell mode, or at least they should be. They're 1-5. The 2025 season is lost. I think they might fire their head coach, Mike McDaniel, soon. Chubb has 2 more years left on his deal. If you really like what he brings you, great. He's under contract. If you don't, he has no more guaranteed money left on his contract. That gives you a lot of flexibility as a football team. There's also scheme familiarity and defensive coordinator familiarity. Bradley Chubb played under Vic Fangio twice, with the Denver Broncos and with the Miami Dolphins in 2023. He was a Pro Bowler under Fangio in 2020. So he can quickly get acclimated with this scheme and help you produce. This year he has produced, coming off a torn ACL last year. He has 4 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. The leading edge producer as far as sacks goes for the Eagles was Za'Darius Smith with 1.5 sacks. So Bradley Chubb by far would give you the best pass rushing production on your football team right now at the edge rusher spot. The Eagles also value a vet presence. That's why they brought in Za'Darius Smith, because that's a young defensive line room. And this trade, I don't think would break the bank as far as financials or the draft picks that the Eagles would have to surrender. Chubb's numbers the last 4 years. This year, playing very well coming off that torn ACL, 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 4 TFLs, 15 tackles. In 2023, under Vic Fangio, he had 11 sacks, 22 quarterback hits, 11 TFLs, and 73 tackles. In 2022, his time split between Denver and Miami, 8 sacks, 20 quarterback hits, 5 TFLs, and 39 tackles. He's been a pretty consistent player throughout his career. He's in his late 20s, so he's not too old. He's a player who makes sense for the Eagles and could really help the Eagles, and that's why his name has been linked to the Eagles a lot. And then there's 2 players on the winless Jets. The Jets are a disaster. I think Aaron Glenn might be one and done. That team stinks. But Jermain Johnson and Will McDonald are really good pass rushers. And here's what's crazy about the Jets. I've never been a Justin Fields guy. He can't see the field. He can't process. He can't throw over the middle. That Jets team, though, should not be winless. They have a lot of talent, but they're a poorly coached team. And at defensive end, they have some talented guys. Jermain Johnson, who tore his Achilles last year, but he's back and playing well, and Will McDonald, who's a talented pass rusher. And the Eagles have some intel on both these players. Why? Guess who rejoined the front office under Howie Roseman? Joe Douglas, who used to be the assistant GM for Philadelphia. He helped the Eagles put together that roster in 2017 when the Eagles won that Super Bowl. Well, Joe Douglas drafted Jermain Johnson and Will McDonald. So those are two players where Joe Douglas has some insight, and he knows what they can bring to the table. They're both young. Now, for Johnson specifically, he'd cost a little bit because the Jets clearly want some good draft capital back, but that's a player who could be really interesting for Philadelphia. And before he transferred, he did, I believe, play at Georgia and did take a visit there with Nolan Smith. Other realistic Eagles edge targets. Trey Hendrickson would be the star. Bradley Chubb for the reasons that I mentioned. Rashawn Gary kind of out of the rotation, not getting as much playing time for the Green Bay Packers, but he's got some pedigree. The two Jets players, Jermain Johnson, Will McDonald. What are the Raiders doing? I mean, if you're the Raiders and you can get multiple firsts for Max Crosby, I think it'd be wise to trade him. And you know what dumb organizations do? They hold on to a player because that player says, I want to be a Raider for life. Fans say, we don't want to trade that player because he wants to be a Raider for life. Don't you want to be a good football team? You have a better chance of being a good football team if you can load up on draft capital and trade a player like that. There could be a team desperate enough to give you 2 or 3 first-round picks. Does that help you more than Max Crosby? I think so. Arnold Ebiketie for the Falcons. You know, he's kind of behind a couple of the young pass rushers for Atlanta, and he's had some good pass rush production. Jalen Phillips, another player for the Dolphins, he too tore his Achilles recently, but he's got some freaky twitch, length, and size from that pass rusher spot. And then 2 players on the Saints. Carl Granderson has 4.5 sacks this year. He's a little bit younger, in his late 20s than Cameron Jordan. Cameron Jordan is a veteran who was a member of the 2010s All-Decade team. Definitely not the player who he once was. But if you want a high-character guy who could be rejuvenated a little bit, going to a team that's in a Super Bowl hunt, you could get the best out of him for the remainder of the year. We're giving you fantastic coverage here on Eagles Now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, but I'm also giving you even more Eagles content on my personal social media pages. Give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior.